It's time to deal with another colour fixer. And this one is certainly unique. Well, certainly isn't the most obvious and straightforward. Next we have the purple tear. Now this colour fixer, what was she doing within District 12? She was reported to be within that district. Well, let's go over that, shall we? In a camp within District 12, that is where the story picks up. A camp with the library in sight. Distant though it was. Iori, the purple tear, and Argalia, the blue reverberation, met up, with the former asking the kid in blue that he's managed to up the ante pretty quickly, hasn't he? He thanked her advice. Apparently she mentored him, and like the others, where, if it weren't for her, he wouldn't have come that far or found his ensemble. Well, that explains some things, but not everything. Iori didn't know him as one who would say such things. And then he offered her place among them. She declined, as she is not cut out for music. Apparently Argalia wanted to return the favour. Apparently she showed him the light then, well, when he was lost. Presumably when Angelica died to the pianist. He believed her to be some deranged maniac, until she came to... Okay, deranged maniac? You can talk? You cut down squatters in an abandoned lab and let them be killed painfully. Whether that be due to Pluto, Eileen, or the clockwork flesh, makes no difference in the end. There was also the handling of the corpses of the Thumb, regarding Jae-hyun, with the possibility of Greta serving some of them up for dinner. Honestly. Although, former manager of the She Association's Southern Branch, he had it coming. Iori noted that there was no breaks on his mouth. Yeah. So you're telling him that shutting up is something that he's at. She then asked how he was doing. Argalia went over his recruits, likely in the order that he recruited them. Jae-hyun, the puppeteer. Elena, the Blood-Red Knights. Tanya, the Rare Tulip. Pluto, Yesterday's Promise. Eileen, the leader of the Church of Gears. Oswald, ringmaster of the 8 o'clock circus. The musicians of Bremen. Philip, the crying children, and Greta, one of the 8 chefs from that backstreet. He gathered them and provided the library with all that it needed, as she advised. So she's a part of this as well. She complimented how quick he was about this. nights. He was excited as he'll finally be himself. Clearly in a different way to how Pluto helped others, as we know how it works with him. Perhaps Argalia still needed to pass for human in appearance for now. He was lonely. It was painful to him, born from the belief that they could never understand each other. Then Iori spoke of him in another, as both suffered much at a young age. She assumed that they had a special bond. He agreed. And they were talking about him and his sister, Angelica. And this was because she was alive, but after she was dead, he was lonely. Yet he didn't want to die. Apparently he was suspending the inevitable. That the meaning of his life was based around Angelica, and he was running from this. This was replaced by what his performance is intended to be. The proof of his life. To make everyone be free of loneliness, and for the city to no longer be so gloomy. Yeah, he wants to recreate the pianist's performance. Yeah, any second thoughts about him not being completely barking have just died. I mean, the pianist's performance was probably the largest act of mass murder in quite some time. And Iori found this touching. Yeah. Iori, Argalia learned much from you. He saw this performance to be what will be a dirge for Angelica. Apparently the power of the distortion is needed to spread that melody to all of the city. As for that camp, it's where he gathered his crew, which were all there to meet her. Seeing humans as corroded by the city, which his distortions can't be compared with. Some were abandoned, some were scorned, some struggled in anguish and sorrow after what they cherished was taken from them. Okay, that last one was definitely Eileen and Jaehyun, as we know what happened to their loved ones, don't we? But they didn't give up. They clawed their way out of the dark abyss and found their truest forms. I guess they weren't honest about their intentions and fell apart. And so distorted. Apparently, true strength can only be pulled out of filthy, fathomless pits of despair, where nothing can rival their beauty. Yeah, you would say that, considering that your associates wouldn't look out of place in a bat fetishist vigilantes rogues gallery. Anyway, he'll be able to inscribe that tune into every part of the city, much as the pianist did. Iori recognized his enthusiasm, but the game wasn't won yet. He still needed the library's light. More specifically, to take it. Argalia then remembered that. He could almost touch it. As for why Iori still lived, as the meaning to her life was apparently lost long ago. She was lonelier Yeah, lonelier than most, yet she still refused to join them. Iori considered that harsh, as she had one reason to live. Argalia wondered if it was true that she knew everything, as she had knowledge to help him prepare for their performance. But it wasn't out of pity, as for pure sympathy. You understand this? That's not that either. He knows this based on what the person in his heart said. Iori was puzzled by this. And Argalia was, of course, speaking of Miss Sun, a wondrous and clear voice. He asked Iori if she was speaking the truth. What her motivation was. Yeah. The motivation of his dear teacher. Why she assisted him. Iori claimed not to know, saying that looking at him reminded her of her son, as in the one she lost. Argalia found that funny, as her son died around 40 years ago. He asked again what her true motive for helping him was. She told him that he's grown from a dorky and naive kid to someone smarter after making friends. Iori, he's become a psychotic madman. I don't think that was an improvement. Apparently, she needed his help to get to where she wanted to go. He asked her, where could she want to go so desperately to treat him with such kindness? Kindness, that's debatable. I mean, she could be able to go there easily with her ability to jump between dimensions and know everything that she wanted to. I'm guessing that this isn't a technological ability. Could she be the product of an early experiment that eventually resulted in the warp trains? Well, regardless of the source of this ability, Iori told him that it wasn't as easily abusable as he might think. If it was, she'd do that to get to where she wanted to go. This made Argalia impatient, seeing Iori as outlasting her usefulness. Well, considering the city's danger, it's a miracle that she's lasted as long as she had. She also saw this coming, much to Argalia's surprise. He wanted to know what her next move would be. Pluto set up a thick layer of barriers that would keep even her from escaping. Yeah, he's that powerful. Iori identified him as the pipe organ of this ensemble. Eileen saw Iori's brain as far inferior to her fourth gears. Iori identified her as the harp. Well, someone will be playing one soon enough. Tanya wanted to break all of her limbs before she can even think of running away. Okay, anyone think that she used to be part of an organized crime syndicate before her transformation into a lycanthrope stuck in beast form? Iori identified her as the Viola. Philip understood that she's lost something precious to her. She must understand. Iori identified him as the cello. Oswald offered to make a steak show drenched in strawberry juice. The fleshy fruit will make an explosive display. Roughly translated, he's offering to make Iori explode in a mass of gore and flesh. Sorry, Oswald. Pluto beat you to that in District 22, with one that failed to fulfill their side of the contract. Iori identified him as the clarinet. Brennan made an assortment of animal noises, which probably translated roughly to, "Let's blast her brain out until she sees things our way." Either that or, "What instruments can we make from her old bones?" Regardless, Iori identified them as the horn, tube, and trombone, respectively. Elena wanted to know what her veins would taste like. "Yeah, we get it, you're vampiric. You certainly resemble the Nosferatu abnormality." Iori identified her as the first violin. Greta was all for eating Iori, but not raw. Who then revealed what the special pasta is. It's the vein separated from the rest of the body that's prepared. Yes, she wanted to prepare this special pasta with rose sauce. Gleefully thinking of this. Why? Iori identified her as the percussion. Jae-hyun wanted them to leave some flesh and bones for him, as he wanted to make a puppet out of her. Iori identified him as the second violin. And Argalia, of course, was the conductor. Who then told her that they didn't need her anymore. Which she found funny. It might have been brief for her. Well, brief for them, as far as they're concerned, but for her, she was planning this for a long and valuable time. Argalia told her not to speak of such nonsense. Wait, that's nonsense even by your standards? I mean, we've seen what you're like, so... It must be quite something. Either that or you don't know enough to come to an accurate conclusion. She then revealed to them an invitation to the library, which she clearly intended to use. Eileen saw this and drew Argalia's attention to that. Tanya wanted him to stop her. Yet Argalia wasn't in any rush to do this. He wanted to ask a question. As he was asking this, Iori was referring to Angela by name. That she has a guest at the door. Yeah, she's another that knows more than she's saying. Before she left, Argalia asked her if she can't hear her mesmerizing voice. Yeah. Argalia is definitely being led by Miss Sun as well, the same voice that warned him about Iori's hidden agenda. Upon seeing this, Roland realized the reason why the blue nutjob was recruiting distortions was for this performance, where his crazy antics were starting to make sense. Angela seemed bothered by this. Roland wanted to know what was bothering her. It was because they were after the library's light, which means their competition. Roland agrees with her, asking if she's scared that they'd steal it from her. You mean like she stole it from those that it was meant for? Apparently she's not, as she trusts the librarians to deal with them when the time comes. She apparently has much faith in him, although she had some fear of the reverberation ensemble. Roland wanted her to be honest with them, if she thinks that she can't trust them enough. But that's not the problem, according to Angela, as something is different. Roland recognized her attitude being one difference, as she was full of pride and confidence when Arcorp and its clone army challenged them. Her confidence was consistent with what happened before. And why did that change? Well, Angela theorized that most guests so far had a vague purpose: earn the books and get back to the outside. The books they'd hand to those above them, such as higher-ups of a syndicate or an association. Well, it made no difference either way. If it was, well, it was for personal gain and prestige. The Reverb Ensemble, on the other hand, was different. They have a clear objective: the light of the library, the same thing that she desired. She saw a contrast between those who act in the interests of others and those who act purely for their own interest. In the past, she'd say that to thinking about that, but things have changed. Roland understood that they scared her, as the goal is taking what she's been gathering, and it's not because of how strong they are. Angela agreed that this theft is a problem. Well, you'd know about that, wouldn't you? Upon arrival, Iori was relieved, as it was a close call. Her age hadn't stopped her heart from being excitable. Ooh, probably some strong augmentations and treatments that resulted in you not looking your age. She probably also has a genetic condition where her hair doesn't stop growing, which explains why it's that long. And apparently transportation is something that the library does better than her. Then Angela appeared to greet her. According to Iori, everyone and their mother has heard of Angela in the library, so she advised her to skip the intro. She knows that Angela knows what's going on and how things have gone on the outside. Angela noted that she's rather knowledgeable. Iori doesn't have much to worry about, due to the library being almost complete. She's even aware that Angela was becoming a meatbag. Oh, sorry, human. All thanks to the kiddo being quick to set up the stage. Wait. Could she be the reason why Roland was in the library uninvited? She certainly wasn't talking about Argalia. And Roland certainly didn't have the ability to get through the library's defenses even then. In fact, no one did. Angela was asking why she was helping her to ensure the steady growth of the library. Apparently, Iori couldn't leave the kid in blue be. Angela asked if she wanted them to make sure that the blue sicko, oh, even she's calling him that now, and his friends Debatable. Can't take the power of the library. Yuri didn't care much how she saw it. She simply told her to extract a book from her. It'd be helpful, as she'd have much in her head that would help them. Angela questioned the sanity of all colour fixers based on her telling her to be killed in a nonchalant way. Oh, come on, Angela. Gebura's all right. Yeah, I know, she had some anger issues to work out from when she was Cully. But she's a sane one. Yuri made it clear that she wouldn't hold back. She would not go down without a fight. She'd ruin the library in her own way if she can't be bested by them. An old woman that's likely had quite a few augmentations and not just cybernetic. She even had ideas on how to break Angela, even if she can't completely kill her. Angela wanted her to cut the nonsense and get inside. Yuri found it amusing that she had countless bits of knowledge, yet she wanted a part of her past memories. Ooh, the irony of it. Now, this annoyed Angela, and she told Yuri to find her book. Yuri noted how cold she was. Yuri, Roland called that Tuesday. She then had something else to say, but Angela was annoyed and told her may she find her book in that place and disappeared. As for what she wanted to hear more about, it was about Roland, remembering that he was pretty unstable when she found him. Ah, yes. He became an alcoholic and picked fights to let out his aggression after the events of his demotion and losing everything that mattered to him. He played a part in the expansion of the library. She then sought to see what the library was like. True to her word, she did not go down easily. She also had something that was unique among the other opponents. She used stances. Each altered the way she fought based on which stance that she used. Slash, pierce, blunt, and guard. Each stance providing a bonus to power with each, and with separate decks that exploit each of the stances. She was armed with 3 different weapons, each to allow her to slash, pierce, and guard respectively. Blunt damage being dealt with her augmented fists. And when she was weakened enough, she used her dimension jumping ability to appear in another part of the library. Yeah, so all of the floors had better be prepared for battle beforehand, otherwise they're unlikely to last one scene with her. In the end, she was taken down and turned into a book. After that battle, Angela noted that the Purple Tear was quite competent. She could jump between dimensions. Again, is there at least a suspicion that she was part of a failed experiment that eventually led to the dimension jumping tech of W Core? Well, if it's not that, it's remarkably similar. Her motivation wasn't getting books. She came there to escape the Reverberation Ensemble's retribution, to avoid death by their hands. And Argalia has proven himself quite capable of ordering that she wasn't given the mercy of a quick death. A quick death being something of a rarity in that city. A mercy that Roland is capable of giving based on his rampage. Well, she fought to the death, yet became a book in the end, like the others. Angela asked why she wanted her to turn her into a book. Roland thought it was to avoid the Reverberation Ensemble, but he didn't have too much confidence in that. As for the real reason, it'd be carried to the bookshelf with her. The reason why she couldn't leave there during that battle was because there was likely a barrier around the library that wasn't there before. This surprised Angela, as no guest had maintained her composure until the end like she did. Roland noted that she might be aware of her own future. Well, a possible future anyway. Angela asked if she had knowledge of the library as well, considering that she knew Angela's name. Well, it's possible. But as Roland put it, even if she did, she's a book. It doesn't matter now. Angela agreed. Roland noted that she was unnerved recently. Angela saw this anxiety as part of becoming human. Roland observed when people feel this, it's time to prepare for what's to come. What's to prepare for? Oh, right. You mean the coming of conditioned brown? Due to what likely is to be coming their way eventually? As in the Reverberation Ensemble? As it's not a question of if they come to the library, it's when. Roland encouraged her to think deeper about things. Angela added that she should also grow as an individual. She appreciated his hard work at dealing with a colour fixer. Well, it wasn't his first, as he and the others have dealt with the red mist recreation. Although Roland did get that powerful guests would promote the growth of the library, but a couple more colour fixers like that would tire the whole library out. Yeah, they're that tough. Thankfully, they're quite rare. Angela thought that they'd do a good job. She thanked him and the others, and then told him to sort the books before he was gone. Yori could see many things. So what's the plan with her being turned into a book? Just to escape a group that could keep the psychiatrists of Arkham Asylum busy for years? She clearly had her reasons. Even as a book, Iori, the Purple Tear, is self-aware. Those that read it will find that it breaks the fourth wall. She can't explain her power, which implies that she was experimented on and wasn't given the full details of it. But she does know that it involves dimensional travel, or to alternative possibilities. Yeah, alternative possibilities, and thankfully it's not time travel. As if it was, she'd probably think twice before going back in time to warn a younger version of herself, because of the paradox that might result. which could make her efforts more chaotic. She finds it difficult to explain how it works herself, but she can go to these other possibilities. For example, she could, in theory, go to a world where Roland's wife, Angelica, came with him to this job, and so her death would never have happened. And so his downward spiral might never have occurred. Or perhaps one where Ian was able to catch Carmen before she killed herself and created the bloodbath abnormality. All those different possibilities are what she can go to. But it isn't all powerful, so she doesn't use it lightly. As, well, far as she's concerned, it has a price, although it's unclear what that price is. As for where she wants to go to a specific parallel world, which is likely a world where her son isn't dead. She has travelled to other worlds, and has helped those who have lost what was precious to them. But it wasn't entirely out of goodwill. They were considered worth helping, and it helped to have some favours to cash in. Certainly with a few fixes. She's gone to such lengths, including a leading figure that commands powerful fixes that are of a colour level power. Okay, was this the reverberation ensemble before? Unlikely, as far as I'm aware, only 3 of them were former fixers. But this is all to bring her son back. Something that's just within her reach, but might as well be on the other side of the planet. Whatever her plan was, it's not likely to be revealed during this part of the story. But it's unlikely that her machinations are fully revealed yet. There's likely still some manipulations, even though she's now reading material. Quite a few problems within the city are made clear. A few will be made more clearer with the next video. Until next time. Hail the rabbit!